Are you tired of having the exact same kind of fight? The type of issues that have been going absolutely nowhere, and you've just realized and recognized, oh my goodness, I am married to a fool. This episode, we're going to discover how you can navigate and overcome the foolishness that's been getting in the way and how to convert your conflict into connection. Are you ready to stop fighting and start loving again? What if I told you that the key to healing your broken relationship can be found at the intersection of law and love? I'm Judge Shar, founder of Law for Love, and I restore justice to broken relationships through contract building, restructuring, and legal consulting that helps you convert conflict into connection that transforms your family, your community, and the world. Let's jump right into what to do when you are married to a fool. And we'll begin with this defining what a fool is. Let's get on the same page about how we describe or define fool behavior. And one of the definitions of fool is someone who likes to talk more than they listen to understand. And this foundation is found in Proverbs 18:2. And here's a law school style approach to helping you to understand the law that I am revealing tonight. And so I'm going to be discussing the behaviors that manifest as foolishness, how people show up as fools, how everybody plays the fool sometimes. Through a story about Ryan and his wife Shannon. And Ryan, he has a habit of lecturing Shannon. And in this instance, he's lecturing her again and constantly telling her about his experiences, his superior knowledge, his advice, and doesn't ever notice that Shannon's not even really speaking anymore. Ryan believes that his knowledge is the best knowledge, and Shannon better than Shannon because he's older than her. He sees himself as having more relevant experience than she has, and besides, he's the man of the house. He gets the final word, so she should listen to him and respect him just for being the man in the relationship. So oh, and the other thing about their interactions is that when Shannon is speaking to him, rather than hearing the facts that she's sharing or the feelings that are connected to the facts, he's just thinking of how he's going to respond and how he's going to win the conversation. So Ryan has some foolish behaviors. And we have to ask ourselves, how might Ryan's behavior, talking at you instead of talking with you, affect Shannon's willingness to connect and to share openly with him? That's a question for us to think about when looking at behavior that's described by scriptures as foolishness. Foolishness is also defined as a person who is easily angered, easily upset. Uh, there is the fact that we all get upset, we all get angry. If you do a biblical search of the term anger, you'll find scriptures that tell you to get angry, be angry, but don't sin in your anger, and not to be quick to wrath, to be slow to wrath, but quick to listen. And so being triggered into anger really quickly, according to Proverbs 12:16, is also foolishness or fool behavior. So let's look at Shannon's behavior. She's really begun shutting down on Ryan and really no longer even shares her thoughts, her dreams, or her feelings with him because he doesn't listen. And he's become so condescending that she's become resentful towards him in this place where she's shutting down because he's not listening. So she's done talking, right? And when she has had it, like when she is at the point of overwhelmed with this raggedy communication that they have. She'll storm out of the room, she'll storm out of the house in a fit of rage. She will yell at him, shout at him, shut up, even call him names. So she gets to this point of rage and acting out in rage in response to the fact that Ryan is not listening, and he is making himself the final authority in everything that needs to be discussed without hearing her point of view. So, how do you think these reactions affect the dynamic of the relationship? Can you think of ways that Shannon can communicate her frustration without going into rage? I think most people can identify with Shannon's frustration. Who wants to talk and not be heard? Who wants to talk and the person who you're talking to is not listening, they're not understanding, that all they're thinking about is how important what they have to say is. I think while we can certainly relate with her, she's also bringing foolishness into the relationship. Can you agree? Another definition of foolishness, and by the way, this is not an exhaustive list. There's a lot of things, a lot of ways that foolishness or fool is defined or recognized in the what I call the restatement of the law, which is the book of Proverbs. There are a lot of examples, but these are the top three, I would say, in the family conflict and dispute space that we can speak to directly out of the book of Proverbs. And so we'll also define foolish behavior as doing things that's wrong just for fun. Like you're just making sport out of things that are wrong. And the reference point here is Proverbs 10:23. So let's take a look at how this looks in a relationship if someone is acting out as a fool in this manner. So Ryan knows that Shannon is very insecure. And what he does is he flirts with other women and he gets the attention of other women, flirtatious attention from other women, just to get a reaction out of her, just to see Shannon show up in her jealous insecurity. And when she yells at him about how disrespectful he's behaving, he's actually laughing on the inside at how she's showing up in her insecurity and in her jealousy. But he's doing it on purpose. According to the scripture, this is called foolishness. This is called foolishness according to biblical law. And some of you may know people who behave this way and don't even realize that they're acting foolishly. What do you think is actually motivating somebody like Ryan to seek this kind of reaction? So when we look at the underlying issues that drive foolishness, or why you're married to a fool, why your husband or your wife is showing up as a fool in your marriage with these types of behaviors. And again, there are several others. These are just three out of many. What is at the root of this behavior? So really understanding the root issue is how you deal with foolishness. Ultimately, foolishness is something that it's like the type of behavior that people often will say, "I'm sorry for," but there's no real change. And so when you understand the root cause of foolishness or foolish behavior, then you understand where you have to focus your effort to actually change this behavior or to actually deal with this behavior on a level of awareness. And the first rule is pride. And according to Proverbs 14:3, in the mouth of every fool is a rod of pride. Pride is another word for self-reliance, reliance on self. And the first place where we see self-reliance is actually in the Garden of Eden, is Eve taking a look at this tree and saying, "Oh, it looks good, it looks pleasant. Oh, I could be as God, I could be like God." And when she made her decision outside of this agreement, outside of this partnership, outside of the perfected peace of the original intent of the creator, she was the first actor in the realm of pride and self-reliance. And so when she got Adam to join her in this act of pride and relying on self and seeking to be as God, like when you really think about what it was that the serpent was offering, he was offering, you can rely on yourself. You don't have to rely on the Most High as your source when you can become the source of all knowledge, all things good and evil. See, when we really understand what happened in the garden, then we understand that this was pride, it was self-reliance, it was I don't need the Most High. And when we're showing up in our relationships, we're showing up not only with self-reliance apart from the Most High, but also self-reliance apart from our partnerships. And this is what's driving conflict: pride, which leads to fear. When we go back into the narrative of the Garden of Eden and in the aftermath of having their eyes opened and knowing the difference between good and evil and having walked outside of covenant and outside of reliance on the source, what happened? Well, we see the first negative emotion or the first emotion associated with darkness, and this is the emotion of fear. And oftentimes, when you're looking at your husband, your wife, or someone else that you're in close relationship showing up in a way that they are literally manifesting as a fool, they are literally talking more than they listen. They are literally they go from 0 to 100 in a snap of a finger, or they are engaging in mischief and they think it's funny. Then you're dealing with somebody who is at the root. They are afraid of something and they are operating out of pride to cover up their fear, to cope with their fear, to navigate their fear. Does that make sense? Do you see the connection between foolishness and pride and fear? Because this is the picture that the Proverbs are painting for us so that we can get a better understanding of how we can begin to navigate the foolishness in our relationship so that we can take that conflict and make that conflict, turn it, convert it into connection. First, understanding what is at the root of this foolish behavior is pride and its fear. So, what do we do about it? What are the steps to converting this conflict into connection? Well, the first thing that we all have to do is to examine ourselves. And so the place where this step is coming from, I need you to really, really understand this because see, this is what I always navigated my own clients when I was in litigation and when I had to go before a tribunal or before a court, before a judge. I always had the conversation with my client. Listen, we're going to make sure that your hands are clean before we go up in here throwing mud at the other side. Anyone who has ever gone to court or trial with me to go in front of a judge will tell you that if they had dirt, if they had any unsexy facts, then they were going to be the first one to tell that judge. Why? Well, the reason why you do that is because the last thing you want to do when you come before a court of law is the last thing you want to do is let the other side be the first one to mention your dirt. Because when the whole story comes out and you didn't take the opportunity to admit your fault, to admit where you fell short, to admit what you did wrong, and the judge has to find it out from the other side, you lose credibility with the judge. The judge, you will invoke the wrath of the judge because now the judge is looking at you, wondering, were you trying to lie to me? Were you trying to hide things from me? And this is why we want to examine ourselves and we want to do the work of taking a look at where am I showing up as a fool in my relationship? How am I responding in a foolish way? Like I said, everybody plays the fool sometimes. Okay. So are you talking more than you're listening to your sweetheart? Are you speaking more than you're listening? And not just listening like I can repeat what you said, but listening to truly understand how is your sweetheart perceiving things and what is it that your sweetheart is feeling? Because even if your sweetheart is showing up in fool mode, there's still, again, pride and fear that's operating in the background of why they showing up like a fool. So examine yourself. And how does this affect your sweetheart's willingness to connect and share openly with you? Because the same way that you feel like the little shutdown ministry on your sweetheart when your sweetheart acting like a fool, your sweetheart is looking at you saying to themselves in the back of their mind, "Oh, I'm never going to say that again. Oh, I'm never going to do that again." Again, pride. Do you see the contract with pride? I'm never going to. I'm never going to let you hurt me again. I'm never going to let you do that to me again. Right? So we have to examine ourselves and find out, is there anything that I'm doing that's interfering with the connection in this relationship? And how am I showing up as a fool? Another one of the questions is uh oh what is your sweetheart trying to communicate to you, even though they acting like a fool? What is your sweetheart trying to communicate to you that they are not choosing to use the words, or they're too prideful to say or to ask to you, and that it's not getting across to you, rather you getting the front of their foolishness rather than the truth? What is it that they're afraid of? What is it that they're trying to cover up with their foolish behavior? Because I'm gonna tell you that this is a powerful, don't sleep on this one, y'all. This is a powerful insight to connecting with your sweetheart, even when they in fool mode. See, I'm not here to give you excuses or justifications to get up out of your relationship, because everybody plays the fool sometime. And if your spouse is showing up with that foolishness, now you are equipped and you're empowered to say, what is it that they're really afraid of? So that you can respond not with foolishness, but out of wisdom. What deeper emotions? Keep in mind fear operating in the background of foolishness. What deeper emotions may your sweetheart be feeling that they're not expressing in a healthy way? So that you can understand them and you can understand how to show up differently instead of coming back with a foolish response. So this is step number one. Do a self-examination, because you want to treat this like this is a case. This is a lawsuit, right? No, it's not aired out in the public. No, it's not for everybody to know all of the details, but we're going to get to the point where you want to see exactly why you need to treat this like you're going into court, because you first want to make sure whenever you have a complaint against any other person, your hands are clean. And that leads us to step two. Step two, stop teaching. One of the biggest things that you will find in a lot of relationships is wanting to teach the other person a lesson, wanting to make a point, wanting to prove yourself right, wanting to explain. But in Proverbs 23:9, the wise are instructed that when you realize you're dealing with a fool, stop. Stop talking. In fact, the Proverbs warn that the more you talk to somebody who's showing up in fool mode, the more they actually despise you for the wisdom that you're saying. So if you want to stop pushing each other away, if you're going to be the one that's actually recognizing what's happening between you and how you are alienating yourselves because there's some foolishness in operation in your relationship, then you can single-handedly stop the process of resentment by no longer attempting to teach. And this one could be really, really hard, y'all, because everybody wants to be understood. Again, the last person that you feel like you should have to fight to be heard is the person that you're married to, right? But when your sweetheart is showing up in full mode, and when you continue to try to teach, you are actually acting a fool. Does that make sense? Do you see that attempting to teach a fool makes you a fool? When this person is not making the necessary behavior changes, this person is continuing on a course of foolishness. Why are you still trying to teach a fool? Now you're the fool, because this person is now only going to have a deeper resentment and hatred towards you. Does that make sense? And then finally, step three, for converting your conflict into connection, you're going to have to trust the justice system. You don't have to trust the judge. And this is, again, it's hard, but I am telling you, it works. These are tried and true methodologies. First, understanding what's going on in the spirit. Then you begin to make the changes in your behavior that align with the spiritual concept, and you will create an atmosphere of connection in your relationship. I am telling you right now, you will convert conflict into connection. You will go from fighting to playing. And I'm telling you right now, and we've gotten these same outcomes for people just like Ryan and Shannon, who were looking for somebody on the brink of divorce, trying to figure out, who do I call between the therapist and between the divorce lawyer, because I'm just about to give up, who have called. And these methods have worked to stop the progress of deterioration of the relationship and to turn on connection, reconciliation, and understanding in their relationship. I am not telling you what is theory. I am telling you what is law, and I am telling you what will work as long as you are consistent within the principle. And when you trust the justice system, when you trust the judge, the proverb 1929 says that when a person is a fool, there are already judgments prepared for them. And the word scorner here is a person who hears correction but does not change their behavior. So you were already telling your sweetheart for the past 50, 11 years, I don't like this because this bothers me for this reason. Please stop doing it. This is not healthy for our relationship. And they give you ear service and they say, I'm sorry when they see you upset, but they never change their behavior. This person is a scorner, and there is judgment laid up for your sweetheart. Yes, a judgment laid up for them. And it says stripes for the back of fools, because for some people, people who hear a correction but do not change their behavior, oh, that stripe represents a beating. There is a spiritual beating coming to them, and you don't know how it's going to come. But this law is certain that when a person chooses the path of foolishness, they're going to get a beating. That's what Proverbs 19:29 is saying. If you are a fool, you are going to get a beating. And it's going to be declared first in the spirit realm, and in your life, people are going to say that you catching the beat down. So if your sweetheart is a fool, your sweetheart showing up as a fool, you don't already cleaned up your act, you stopped teaching, you already conforming your behavior to wisdom, then just know this. That judgment is going to come, because that is the level of pain that has to come into their life to see their own foolishness. Because they can't see their foolishness through you. They're not listening. Trust the process. Your husband or your wife will be judged according to their own foolishness. And the second witness to how the justice system works, to how the king works when it comes to the way that he judges between us, he says that everything that you sow, you're going to reap. Honey, if you put some apple seeds in the ground, you're going to get some apples. If you put some orange seeds in the ground, you're going to get some oranges. If you put some thorns in the ground, you're going to get some thorns. And a lot of times, the reason why we keep showing up and teaching and we're fighting with our spouses is because we want to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner. We want to be right, and we want to dole out the punishment. You know, too many of us, we going to do little sideways passive aggressive things to punish our husbands and our wives because they're showing up in foolishness with us. And what I'm here to tell you and what I'm here to encourage you is that you do not have to do that when you understand that the Most High is the most righteous judge. He has a justice system that is operating to deliver us justice if we will only trust him and know that we can leave the matter to him. We can appeal to his court. We can come to him with unclean hands and say, look, I recognize that I was a fool. I stopped acting in my foolishness. I stopped doing those things that were contrary to the law of wisdom. And I'm leaving this situation in your hands because I'm not the judge, you are. And I'm asking you to judge this matter. I'm bringing this matter before you for you to take care of it, because you see how your son is hurting me. You see how your daughter is hurting me. You've seen the ways that I've come to them to get this corrected. And you've seen that they've been a scorner and they've not turned from their ways. I'm asking for your justice in this situation. You have every right to pray like that. When you are married to a fool, I I don't know who I'm talking to tonight, but look, I need you to understand. You get to reclaim your relationship from foolishness. And these are just some of the declarations, some of the contracts that you can make with yourself, some of the things that you can begin practicing and saying and acting upon, so that you can put yourself spiritually in alignment with the justice system of a righteous and a holy king. When jump off, and I'm telling you what I practice. Some jump be jumping off where we have a misunderstanding here at my house, and I know that I was not handled right in the situation. I'll walk off and I'll be under my breath. May the Father judge between me and you. Make that declaration. Make that your decision. I'm not going to punish you. I'm going to forgive you right now. I'm going to go ahead and extend mercy to you right now, because I don't even think you realize that you just operated in foolishness against me. I don't even think you realize to what degree you just hurt me. But rather than me making it worse by trying to punish you myself, I'm going to just go ahead and leave this with the judge. I'm going to go ahead and trust his process by giving you mercy and forgiveness. I'm going to choose to love you instead of taking out revenge on you. Because, see, if I try to do that, then I'm going to be a fool like you. And then we just going to have a foolishness contract. We're just going to have a loop of foolishness. The foolishness cyclone operating in our relationship. So rather than do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this with the judge. Um, and I will continue to be loving and accepting and open. See, one of the biggest challenges that we have when we get hurt in marriage is that we don't just harden our face, we harden our hearts. And when we harden our hearts, the love of the Father cannot flow through us. The love of Yahushua HaMashiach cannot flow through us. We do not represent the mercy and the loving kindness and the purity and the grace and the love of the King when we harden our hearts. And so many of us, we harden our hearts. Why? Out of pride, out of self-reliance. You know, a lot of times it kind of feels like, dang, God, you let me go through this. You let them do that to me. And many of us, we stand in accusation of the Most High because we have to suffer things in this life to develop character in ourselves so that we learn how to love the way that He loved. You don't learn how to love like the Most High love without getting got, without getting your feelings hurt. You don't learn how to love like the Most High love without people doing you wrong, betraying you, talking trash about you. You do not learn how to love like the Most High love without heartbreak. You have to experience heartbreak before you truly know how to love like the King loves. And so before you harden your heart, before you turn onto your self-reliance and your pride and become a fool, just like the fool that broke your heart, examine yourself and humble yourself and know that all things work together for your good, that the plans that the Most High have for you are to prosper you and not to harm you, but to bring you to an expected end. And I'm sorry, but when you are called to love the nations, you will have to have your heart broken. And sometimes it's by the people you love the most. Sometimes it's by the people that's closest to you. I'm not even really just talking to husbands and wives right now when I talk about brokenheartedness. Yes, I'm talking about when you married, how not to act a fool with your husband or with your wife. But whenever your heart is broken, whoever it is that breaks your heart, the enemy of your soul, the prince of darkness wants you to become prideful and self-reliant and for your heart to be turned into stone so that love cannot flow through you. And you must refuse that contract. You must renounce that contract. You must repudiate is the legal term that we use. When someone offers you something that you not having it, repudiate the option of going cold, of turning into stone, of becoming a place where love cannot flow. Because it will be your husband, it will be your wife, it will be your children, it will be your closest friend that the Most High will use to perfect His love in you. But if you will trust Him, and if you will know that He sees every matter, that He has the whole discovery, that all of the facts are before Him, that you don't have to explain yourself and you ain't got to make up no stories. You just leave it for Him to judge. He will judge it. And when you show up with clean hands, when you show up and you renounce foolishness, when you show up and you choose love over hardness of heart, then you will create an atmosphere of peace and a place where you can reclaim your relationship and connect with your sweetheart again. So I want you to be blessed. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to understand that this is tried and true testimony. Let me tell you about the real life Ryan and Shannon, who called my office when Ryan was literally like, let me talk to somebody who knows the divorce world because I'm not sure if I could stay. Because Shannon was an angry fireball. And Shannon had a lot of reasons for being an angry fireball because Ryan didn't have an emotional dictionary. He didn't have language that communicated to Shannon how deep his love and commitment was for her. He wanted her to just understand that because he loved her and he wanted to be with her. And that did not communicate to her what she needed. And she had gone for years without her needs being met because he just didn't have the vocabulary. So she was angry. She was frustrated. And then he began walking on pins and needles because she always mad. And he didn't know what to do with it. And so we began to work with Ryan and Shannon. We began to work with Ryan and Shannon. And they weren't even, these two weren't even sleeping together. And in 4 weeks' time, we helped them rebuild connection. And we started helping Ryan with his vocabulary. And we started helping Shannon with managing that hurt place that her anger was operating out of. And they found friendship again because they were both willing to deal with their respective foolishness that they were bringing into the relationship. So these laws work when you work them. They work when you apply them. They work when you are consistent with them. And most of all, they work when you trust the judge has set these laws in motion and he's always righteous. He don't make mistakes. We go through trial, we go through testing. This person that you messed around and fell in love with, this person who you trusted your life with, this person may have did you wrong, but now how is your response going to be? Are you going to choose wisdom or are you going to choose foolishness in your response? Because ultimately, when human beings and our flawed nature let you down, when human beings and our flawed nature disappoint you and hurt you, you are still on trial for whether or not you respond in love or in foolishness. I hope this makes sense. I hope it blesses you and encourages you. I hope that this helps somebody. And if you found any value in this at all, if you know someone who can benefit from this information, please like, share, and subscribe. Help Law for Love do more of what we do. Restoring justice to broken families. And y'all, why StreamYard move the furniture? StreamYard move the furniture. You know, I'm sitting up here, can't find my stuff. I cannot find my stuff. Where is it? There we go. With that, y'all, I love you. I appreciate you. Stay blessed and encouraged. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Always remember this: the destination is love, and the journey is love. And it is love that conquers all fear and transforms our world. Hey, if you were blessed by this content, please like it, share it, and subscribe. Follow us on social media at Law for Love ATL. And we bless you and thank you for all of your support.